Hey guys, going ever seen here? So it's been about a week, and I've been playing this Titan. He's level 78, about to be 79, and it's been kind of slow. But I kind of want to go over my progression just over the last week and sort of how the build shaped up. I'll show you guys kind of a map and jump in. We got one here, T6. That's all I'm pretty much doing as of right now. So I'll just go in the map and I'll clear it, and I'll kind of show you what I've been using to clear, what I use for bosses, what I use for rares. Basically, it's a Hammer of the Gods bleed build, and I'm using Sunder and Earthquake for my clear, basically. So I'm only at tier 6 maps. I'm about to, once I complete this one, I'll get more Atlas points, but the only thing, like the reason why I haven't completed much higher is really just because I haven't been able to get my trial, like any of those Jin Barba coins or whatever, the trial coins. I haven't really been able to get any low-level ones to do my 3rd Ascendancy points, so right now I'm only rocking a couple Ascendancy points. Well, 4, but I've only done a couple of the trials to get one of the trials and then one of the ultimatum one. Anyway, I always call it Sanctum, but it's not Sanctum. It was in PoE1. But yeah, basically, I've been using Earthquake. I just put pin support on Earthquake last night, which you can see these chains. They're keeping these enemies in place. Works really good for Earthquake, because most of the time with Earthquake, what sucks is that things will actually move out of your Earthquake before it even happens. So, you know, the more AoE you have, the better here. So I can just do a couple Earthquakes, and I can just keep moving if I want. A lot of the times when I see a big pack like this, I'll just do my Sunder. I've got the one that has 2 additional fissures, so it has, like, really good clear. But yeah, let's see if I can find a rare here. Another thing, too, is with Leap Slam. Whenever I do kind of get low, I like the Leap Slam, and then I have Consecrated Ground on my Leap Slam, which gives me a lot of recovery. So, default recovery, I have, like, 74, 77, whatever. It's life regenerated is 78-ish. So, when I use the Leap Slam with Consecrated Ground, it goes up to 231. So, that's a really big amount of recovery. So if I do get in a shitty situation, most of the time, if I'm getting body blocked by any enemies, I'll just Leap Slam, and then either roll out of a Leap Slam. That's kind of how you cancel the animation. Like, that's a Leap Slam. And I'll just show, like, this is a Leap Slam, and then walking, you see how there's a bit of a stutter. But if you Leap Slam and then roll, you can kind of cancel that stutter. But yeah, if you get body blocked by a lot of enemies, the typical thing, instead of dodge rolling, because we couldn't really do that on release, like they changed the size of your character model so that you can dodge roll better, you pretty much just had to Leap Slam at a pack. So that's what I always do. Like, if things surround me, I just leap out of it, and it also gives me that regeneration on top of it. So the regeneration is a big thing. You definitely want that. Since this is a bleed build, most of my bleed chance is going into Hammer of the Gods, so I'm actually using Lacerate. And if I go into, like, the total main hand chance to inflict bleed, it's 105%. It's a little bit over. It's fine. Sunder, though, is, like, 71% chance, and then Earthquake is also going to be the same thing. So my normal attacks only have 71% chance to bleed, and I'm fully scaled into bleed, as far as, like, the magnitude and all that goes. So I get Aggravate and everything. But yeah, I don't have full bleed chance, only on Hammer of the Gods. That's the one that I really want the bleed to always inflict. Another thing, too, that I've been doing that you probably don't want to do, I have been scaling empowered attacks, and I've been using Brutality on Hammer of the Gods. This is making it so that it doesn't get any of the fire damage benefits from Infernal Cry. So if you don't know, like, per power, you get fire damage on Infernal Cry when you do an exfil boss. I haven't been really taking advantage of that because I really want the percentage fizz damage bonus, which is, like, a lot. Here's a showcase of Hammer of the Gods. You just do that on a rare. Sometimes you miss, sometimes you don't. Yeah, if you miss, you can just, like, pin it with Earthquake before you actually do it. Like, here, I'll pin this guy. See how he's pinned completely? And he just takes the full Earthquake damage, so... Hammer of the Gods, though, I've got 20 quality in it, so my cooldown is only 20 seconds, which is, like, nothing when you're actually in the swing of things fighting. On bosses, it kind of sucks if you do miss a Hammer of the Gods, but just don't miss. Here, I'll show another one. So, right here, gonna pin that rare, and a Hammer of the Gods on top of them. I should have empowered it first, but that's fine. Need to. But yeah, basically, I've been using Brutality because it gives so much more fizz damage for the hammer, and not really worrying about the fire damage and just going with straight up, you know, the fizz damage scales with the bleeds, so I'm just getting bigger bleeds. But yeah, right now I can one-shot basically any boss that I go up against, even in like these maps. Uh, I'll showcase a boss after, and you guys can truly see, but I'm kind of struggling trying to get my Sanctum trial thing, so that's why I was farming a lot of low-tier maps, trying to get, you know, sort of a low-tier trial so that I could just do that instead. Maybe have a little bit of an easier time. But yeah, I just haven't really been getting that lucky. But a couple things too is with jewels on this character, I'm using a lot of like rage when hit. So you get hit quite frequently, and I also have one rage on hit. So it's nice, yeah, and I keep getting inscribed ultimatums. That's like the 4th one I've gotten without getting a Sanctum thing. But yeah, I have been using rage on hit, and rage when hit is nice. You can also throw up a shockwave totem with rage regenerated, like font of rage support, which will give you a ton of rage. You can pretty much get to 30 rage like before some bosses even spawn, so that works really nice. But yeah, I've basically just been using Earthquake, Sunder. It's a little bit slow. I do want to transition into the armor explosion with Stampede, and that'll get me into just a second here. Once I finish this, I'll show you. Trying to do a setup for stun, and I'll probably go with my 3rd ascendancy into crushing blows. We'll see. I'll go do that expedition in the map later. Go out and talk a bit. So I'll go into the skill tree. Basically, I've been going 50% increased passive, small passive skills because it's just like really good for bleed, because you can get 15% out of all these magnitude nodes instead of 10%. You're also getting 7% chance to inflict bleed, which is nice, and just all the rest of the nodes are really good, like empowered attacks. Basically, I get like over 200% increased damage from an empowered attack, which is whenever you Warcry and you get a little exert on your Warcry. So yeah, this is working really nice. I am debating whether or not I want to go for Aftershocks or if I want to go Crushing Blows for my next Ascendancy. It may just end up being Mysterious Lineage because having more life is just going to be really good for the build. I'll probably be like pushing over 3k life with just these couple nodes. And yeah, so I'm going full bleed with my build. I went all the way over here to this bleed stuff, and I just got this Aggravate on hits older than 4 seconds. This works really nice with Hammer of the Gods because my bleeding duration is 8.25 seconds. So for half of the hammer's duration of bleed, I'm getting aggravated damage, which is like 100% increased damage or whatever. So yeah, I've messed around with the weapon sets, doing 1 and 2. It doesn't work the greatest because I just need to fine-tune it. But basically the whole premise is I want to do Armor Break and Armor Explosion for clear with Stampede. So I'll refund like these Ignite nodes and then go up here and probably grab some more Armor Break or something. But for now, this is kind of like the outline of my skill tree. I just went here over to the armor and the life. I want a lot of attack speed. Yeah, melee damage, two-handed stuff, this armor threshold stuff, empowered attacks, AoE, strength, you know the deal, like empowered attacks. We went all the way over here, grabbed lots of bleed stuff, more bleed stuff. Aggravated chance went on jagged ground, so that's another thing with using Earthquake is you get that jagged ground, so it's really nice to use that. Whereas a jagged ground, maximum 4 jagged ground patches, duration is 4 seconds, so as long as anything gets hit on that, it'll aggravate. So that gives me, in total, 40% chance to aggravate bleeding, which is really nice. You can just get an aggravate before that 4-second duration. But this is really nice, Deep Wound. So I may even, like, refund this node and just put it somewhere else. Because if it already aggravates over 4 seconds, like, do I really need to aggravate it earlier? Yeah. So Breaking Armor is kind of what I'm going for this weapon set. I refunded the Skull Crusher node for 20% more damage against heavy stun enemies because I haven't really been heavy stunning at all on this build. Honestly, I was doing the stun build at first, and I just felt like it just was kind of lackluster in, like, as opposed to damage over time, because, like, when you hit a Hammer of the Gods, like, yeah, you can do really big damage, but you can also do way bigger damage if you do a bleed. So, yeah, I had, like, lucky stun with, or lucky hits with against heavy stun enemies, which was really good. I was getting tons of damage. You know, all these stun nodes, all this stuff I had. But yeah, I kind of went out of that and went more of the ailments route. So you can see like this, like it's almost like a red highlighted. This is my one weapon set. So ailments, bleed stuff, more bleed stuff here. But then when I weapon swap, it will go to the green ones. So the green ones, I actually have two decent weapons. So this one I actually just got last night. I tried to corrupt it to get another socket on it. I don't know. I was trying to get an upgrade for my main weapon, but this one is just too good. I have +3 melee skills with this amount of physical damage, so this one's going to be really hard to upgrade. But yeah, so it also has life per enemy killed, which is really nice. So yeah, I've been using this. This is all my weapon swaps. So now this weapon swap set is going to have a bunch of stun stuff, bunch of stun build up, and armor break here. Basically, the whole idea is you're going to break 50% of armor on heavy stunning an enemy. And then in addition to that, you want to break additional armor. So I have these nodes, these 4 nodes, but I think I got to go up here and grab all these ones instead because you do get way more armor broken. I believe once you get to here, like if you do these 4 nodes, you'll get 100% of armor broken when you heavy stun an enemy. So that's what's going to proc the Stampede to do all that extra damage. Yeah, so I've got, you know, like stun build up stuff. I could do the endurance charge thing. Just, I don't know, don't care. 30% stun build up though is pretty good, so I might just do it anyway. But yeah, stun stuff. I kind of need to refine this. The thing is, I just haven't had a lot of gold to screw around with this much. Like this one node in this weapon set is kind of like useless, so I'd take that out and put it somewhere else. But yeah, so the plan is to go Giant's Blood. I do really want to go Giant's Blood right now. I'm sitting at 270 strength, which is pretty low, really, in the grand scheme of things. So I would definitely take like these 3 nodes for strength and then go over here and take this reduced mana plus Giant's Blood. So I've got a little bit of workaround to do if I want to do that. But yeah, having a 2-hander plus a shield is really good. I do have a shield that's ready. Actually put on my guy. I just actually have to get Giant's Blood going. So this one gives me additional PDR, a little bit of fire res, life, and like lots of armor. So that's kind of the idea there. So yeah, basically with the whole Giant's Blood setup right now with my weapon, like my current weapon, either or of these, actually, I need way more strength for this one than I do this one. So, you know, that tripled is like 300, almost 400 strength is what I need, and I'm 130 short. So we need to work around quite a bit to get it going, but that is definitely the end game plan because having a shield is really good. Okay, so basically the whole rotation is going to be, you know, like your Earthquake and your Sunder and using Infernal Cry. So my Infernal Cry actually just put some quality on it because it gives you quite a bit more damage. Gives you 10% more damage as fire damage. So now we have 35% of damage as fire damage for 5 power. So if you use this near a unique enemy, it goes to 20, like you get 20 power because that's the way the scaling works for power. So, you know, it's 35% times 4, so you're getting like 100% plus damage, is like 120% or whatever. And that's going to give you a ridiculous amount of damage for your hammer if you aren't using Brutality. So the one thing about Brutality is that you can't do elemental damage. So I'm probably going to swap this out. I just got my Hammer of the Gods last night to a 5-link, so now I have Deep Cuts for better bleeds, Brutality, Lacerate to inflict the bleed, and then Heavy Swing for more melee fizz. So I think I'm going to actually take out Fist of War and put that in for Brutality just because I think it's going to be a little bit better. Yeah, just to actually benefit off of this extra damage from Infernal Cry. The only thing that Infernal Cry is really trying to do is take advantage of all of these empowered damage nodes. So I have like a ton of them, which gives me, and with the 50% increased passives, I'm getting like a shitload more damage from it. So in total, it's like 200% damage from when you have an empowered attack. So yeah, you basically just Infernal Cry, and then you just hammer on a boss. And if you're Earthquaking, you could do that too. Maybe pin them, that would be good. But I'm hitting, like, I'm clearing everything that I try to do right now. I'm not exactly sure on my total damage. I will go and hammer the gods right now, though, and I'll show you, like, my hammer is, like, 43,000 to 58,000 over, like, this is bleeding damage per second. So, you know, if our bleed is, like, 8 seconds, we're getting, you know, 8 times, let's just say 40k is, like, 320k damage per hammer. And that's not including, like, more damage from Fist of War if I put it on, and, like, the empowered attacks and stuff like that. The extra fire damage doesn't get calculated in this, right? So You're actually getting a lot more damage, plus we'll get Ignite from Infernal Cry once I do actually take out Brutality. Another thing, too, is I'm using Supercharge Slam, same kind of thing. I haven't really been using this that much because Hammer of the Gods just literally, like, one-shots everything. But I'm using Conk Effect, Bloodlust for more melee fizz damage against bleeding enemies, using Heft for 30% more maximum fizz, and then Discombobulate for a little bit of Daze stuff. I was using this more when I was doing the stun version of the build. But yeah, and then Sunder and Earthquake, it would be nice to have a 5-link. I've been trying to do the Corrupting strat, which is just you Lesser Jeweler, get a 4-link, and then you corrupt it for trying to get the 5th socket. Doesn't work that well for me, so I've been using Upheaval on Sunder. This is going to give you less damage, less attack speed, but the clear is going to be pretty much like original Ground Slam from PoE 1. And then, yeah, I'm using Fist of War on Sunder, so I'll probably take out Brutality, put it on Sunder. The only thing is I don't think Herald of Ash will be able to proc because you'll technically not do any elemental damage. So that's something to worry about. And then I've been using Inspiration because it's just nice to have less mana cost. It only costs 100 mana, whereas like my Infernal Cry is 200 mana. Yeah, my Earthquake, I'm using 40% more AoE and then more or less skill effect duration. So this makes it so that Earthquake doesn't have this pending stuff in the ground. It's shorter duration. And then I'm using Pin, so we don't cause stun, but we pin enemies, so it's really nice. Your Earthquake will get its full effect when it's actually pinning all those trash mobs. And then for Infernal Cry, I'm using Raging Cry for Rage per 5 power. And then I'm using Skills Empowered by Supported Skills, deal 15% more damage. Really good. This also calculates on top of the Hammer of God, so you're getting more damage there. And then most of the time now, I'm trying to build up 10 Rage, so that's using my Shockwave totems, where I have this Font of Rage, and, you know, on a boss, you can get up to 10 Rage really easily, and then I'll Infernal Cry, and then I'll do my Hammer of the Gods, because I'll be getting 30% more damage. So we're getting in total 45% more damage, which is multiplicative with all of our other damage increases, on top of, you know, the extra fire damage from Infernal Cry on Hammer of the Gods, so we're hitting probably like a ridiculous amount. I really haven't tried the harder bosses to try and see how much total for like my entire bleed I have. Also, I'm using Herald of Ash and Time of Need. I'm probably gonna take off Time of Need. I really don't think it like gives you that much health to warrant like using it. It's kind of in my opinion. So I'll probably use actually, but I'm using Vitality for life regen, and then Cannibalism, which is just like you want to be on melee. You get so much recovery every time you kill something. And then Leap Slam, this is where I'm using Life Tap. I decided to use Life Tap. I was running out of mana too much, so it just feels really nice to be able to leap around a map and not worry about my mana. And then I'm using mana for my main skills. So most of the time when I go for my rotation, I gotta do my Infernal Cry, and then I'll have to Hammer the Gods and like hit my Mana Flask. Sometimes when you're doing all this packing plus this, like when you go to actually Infernal Cry and then do your Hammer, you have no mana to use the Hammer, so use our Mana Flask once and we're good. But yeah, Shockwave Totem, I was using this more so for stun buildup. I was using Ruthless because it was really good. Every time the 5th attack happened, it would do a lot of stun. And then Overabundance for +1 Totem, and then Font of Rage. I'll probably do Font of Blood, like the life regeneration one or something. Might help out. But this is kind of like my setup so far. I don't know if it's optimal. I'm just playing with it. I'm having fun with it. My clear is okay. I think it's gonna struggle in like the very high tier maps just because we're just so slow. Like we just attack so slow. But bossing, this is like an S tier bossing build. Like I can just like Hammer the Gods, bleed, and just run around and not really have to worry about much. Like you can just dodge boss mechanics. But yeah, the plans for the build is basically I want to get my next ascendancy points. So hopefully like the life one. I might end up doing Crushing Blows. I've also thought about doing Aftershocks because the thing about Stampede, which I'm going to transition to, is that Stampede actually gives an Aftershock. So when you put quality on the gem, it's 30% chance to cause an Aftershock. So Aftershocks, if you don't know, is basically double damage. It basically just does the attack again. So really nice for your clear if you're doing this. Like I really want to do the Aftershock route. And I've already got 22% chance from these two nodes. Normally it's 18, but this gets 50% increased passive effect from my ascendancy, so it's 22 there, and then I can do 30, so that's 32, or sorry, 52 in total if I had quality on Stampede all the way. And then you can also boost this more with the ascendancy for 72%, and then you could also use Aftershock gem for another 20%, so you have 92% chance to do an aftershock, which is pretty ridiculous. I probably won't go that ascendancy, and I'll just have 72% chance, but even that is still crazy. And I'll probably go, you know, crushing impacts as well as mysterious lineage is going to be my next 2 ascendancy points, just because this crushing blows really works good for clearing, because you kind of get a heavy stun earlier than you would typically get a heavy stun based on the stun buildup. So you just stun easier, you stun trash mobs like instantly, and then that procs the armor explosion with the stampede, which is going to give us like tons of so I'm gonna use probably impact shockwave to give another aftershock, and then overpower for more stun buildup. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. My future plans basically is just Giant's Blood into Stampede for clear, and yeah, just keep on farming. I'm having a lot of fun with this build now. It's very pain in the beginning as a fresh start, but now that I'm kind of in an established place, yeah, it feels okay. So Stampede's next, and GG. All right, guys, thanks. See you later.